Hello, I'm Barbara McVicker. One day, most of you will have to face many difficult issues regarding the care of your aging parents. The big question is, are you ready? Today, more than 75 million people are stuck in the middle of kids, career, and caring for elderly moms and dads. You're not alone. No matter your age, you need the essential information presented in this program to get prepared. In this show, I'll give you 4 powerful tools that you can use right now and in the future. Please join me for this very special program. You'll be glad you did. One day, I was sitting on the deck of my house, watching the breeze go through the leaves and sipping a cup of coffee, and thinking just how lucky I was. I had all the rest of my life all mapped out. The kids were a little older, and there was finally some time for me. I had a great husband, a job that was fulfilling, and best thing, we were leaving the next day on vacation. And we hadn't been away in 10 months, and we were all so excited. We were going to go to the lake, and all we could think about was jumping in the water, hiking, kayaking, and having a good time together. I'd done all the things that you guys do in order to leave. I'd mowed the lawn. I'd cleaned out the refrigerator, I'd done the laundry, I had done the packing, but it was so worth it. The only thing I had left to do was that a project was due at work later that day. So I very reluctantly walked back in and started clicking away on my computer. I was busily at work when the phone rang. It was the police. They were at my parents' bank. "Are you Herman's daughter?" the voice on the other end of the line said. I said, "Yes, I am." They said, "Are you aware that your father's been wiring money over the last several days?" I was stunned to learn that my father had been sending money to Canada. He'd been told he'd won the Canadian lottery. All he had to do was send the taxes. My father sent $68,000. To Canada. Not only was I stunned because this had happened, but because it was so out of character for my dad. He had come from the Depression. He didn't part easily with his money. The other thing was that my father no longer drove. He had macular degeneration, and he hardly walked to the end of the driveway to get his mail each day. Yet he had walked the 14 blocks to his bank. This was one heck of a scam. Yeah, I had my whole life planned out right. Now there was this huge detour, one for which I was totally unprepared, one for which there was a huge role reversal, one in which I was now my parents' caregiver, stuck in the middle of kids, career, and now taking care of mom and dad. I was part of the sandwich generation. So the next day, instead of basking in the sun, I spent it closing down all of their accounts. Social Security, if it had their name on, their addresses, their birthdays, everything to make certain that they were going to be safe. We finally did leave on our vacation, but I was so tired, so fragile, I just climbed into the back of the seat and fell fast asleep. How in the heck had we gotten in such a mess? You know, looking back on it now, though, I know how we got in that mess. We were all in denial. My parents weren't thinking that they were going to need any help. I certainly wasn't at all thinking that they were going to need my help. So we were all in denial. I missed all the signs. I didn't open that top drawer to see what their checkbook looked like. I didn't notice if there was unopened mail. I didn't notice that they weren't getting up until noon. So I was totally unprepared. I had no emotional support, no essential information. Now, if you were like I was, when my kids were growing up, I was totally prepared for that part of my life. I had a stack of books this high on my nightstand. I knew everything there was to know about a 2-year-old and about a 13-year-old boy. But here I was, I knew nothing about taking care of mom and dad. I'd also gotten all kinds of emotional support because I joined play groups and talked to the other parents, or the PTA, or even talked to my family about taking care of kids. I had no support for going through this phase of my life. So I was truly stuck in the middle. So what I want to do is provide for you the essential information and emotional support that you need to start this. I want to make certain that you're prepared and that you and your family have a roadmap so you can set a course of action. And I'm going to provide 4 powerful tools to you so that you know how to start planning before that phone call comes. Sometimes it's a phone call like I got about finances. Or it could be that mom's fallen and is in the emergency room and you have to get there right away. Or maybe even a death. So I want to prepare you before that phone call. And you will get that phone call. So we're stuck in the middle. There we are in the middle of this. And just when we think it's time for us, we have nothing to worry about. Got a good job, good husband. And instead, in comes kids. Maybe it's even our grandkids. But now we're taking care of kids. And then out of the clear blue sky, it's our parents. Now they need us too. So I want to help you get unstuck. Four powerful tools that will help you get through this. The first one is to actually get together those documents, amass them, put them into some kind of a system. It could be a folder, it could be a drawer, it could be a binder. But start now on those. And as I've said, this is really for 3 generations. Everybody 21 and over needs to have these, at least think about having these 7 essential documents. I'm going to give you a general overview about what it is that you need, so then you can talk to a professional and get done what is appropriate for your particular family. Number 2, have an assessment strategy. You know, you really can't control something unless you have some way of knowing what's going on to see if there's change year after year or even every 6 months. So by having an assessment checklist of your mom and dad, you can see how they're doing. So we'll talk about the 9 different areas that you should look at for mom and dad. You know what? If I had had a checklist, it would have made me slow down and look at every part of mom and dad's life. Maybe we could have even avoided the situation we got in. I was too busy just going through life, but a checklist makes you stop and think. Number 3 is a family caregiving plan. Got to get that whole family together. Have a family meeting. Between that communication and knowing that you're all on the same page, and then make certain everybody has a task, that everybody's part of the solution here, that everybody shares in the care. And number 4 is you've got to build a team. Part of the reason for building a team is because this is a marathon, not a sprint. You need to have a whole team behind you to start on this. So those are the 4 navigational tools. I almost hate to tell you, but most families become dysfunctional in the middle of caregiving. And it's because they haven't started planning. They don't have that essential information. So you're ahead of the ball here. But I'm telling you that they become dysfunctional because there is a lot of emotion and conflict in the middle of this. How many of you are only children? Raise your hand. How many of you have siblings? Okay. Now, if you looked at that person next to you, that only child was looking at you that had siblings and said, oh my gosh, I wish I had siblings to help me through this caregiving process. And you know what? The siblings were looking at you going, boy, if I just didn't have any siblings to have to deal with. I have a professional friend that wrote a book, and the title of it is, And They're Your Parents Too. It's about this thick. So if you're having only this many problems, maybe you ought to count yourself lucky. You know, the sister calls and you're telling her that, boy, you're really concerned about mom and dad and we ought to be thinking about what to do to take care of them. And your sister out in California says to you, but when I saw her last year, she was doing just fine. So you're the in-town sibling going, oh, these siblings.